Happy Father's Day. I hope all of my male viewers, my dads, they are having a fabulous day. It's 12:16 now, so I hope after church or so you guys go and have your barbecue. I saw a post and it said that how can we take our mothers out for dinner and have barbecues for our dad? But today I want to talk about our relationships that we have with our fathers. I saw one of my friends on Facebook. He said something to the effect of, my father, he went to the store and he ain't come back yet. And I think it just indicates that, his father wasn't around. Just like my father, some of us have a solid relationship, an excellent father-daughter relationship with their father. And some of us, you're like me. My father, he was pretty much an absent father. So today I want to do a video on how the absent father or the lack of relationship between a father and a daughter, how that affects our future relationships, or how we develop or we perceive thoughts of how a relationship should look. So I'm going to do some reading so I can kind of stay focused. What we learn about love and relationship starts where everything else starts, at home. Many of you heard me talk about a man called Yuri Bronfenbrenner. He developed a theory called the ecological systems theory. And if I could describe that theory, I would tell you, or I could show you how it looks. It looks like a core. And then outside of the core is several shells. In that core is the child, and in that core with the child is the home, the parents, the peers, the school, the religious institution. So the early developments and the thoughts and the beliefs of that child, what they witness and then they experience and they see, it's a starting base for their beliefs or how they view life. We understand? So what does that have to do with Father's Day? Well, we want to talk about the relationship, or the father-daughter relationship. So sometimes it seems like we could forgive our mothers so easily, and we give our fathers a little harder time. And it's all based on relationships and how we view relationships. On Mother's Day, it's so funny how a lot of people like playing that Boyz II Men song, Mama, I love you. Something about, you're the soul food of my heart, something like that, right? I can't say. But it's so funny how we could have all these songs in relationship to our mothers, but when it comes to our father, it's like a little strain there. Not all of us. I'm not generalizing. But it's interesting how we could be so forgiving. We have ratchet mothers now. We have mothers that addicts and don't take care of their kids, leave their kids home with no food. But Mother's Day will sing that song, Mama, I love you. You know what I'm saying? But then when it comes to fathers, it's like, you weren't there, you were absent, you was... Okay, so let's go back to the core of that, of some possible places where that could come from. Many of us imitate what we witness in the microsystem, and that's the microsystem again is our home. I remember when I was subbing in New York City. I've been now in Georgia for like 10 years, but when I was in New York City, in Brooklyn, I subbed at a school, and that school was in the hood. It was surrounded by projects, and I was glad for the assignment because apparently it was a 5-day assignment. And so on Monday, another sub was there, but for whatever reason, later I found out why they canceled. Then on Tuesday, another sub came in, and they didn't proceed with the rest of the week. So on that Wednesday, I picked up the assignment. So I had the class for Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I had a first grade class, and it was unbelievable of the violence that went on in this first grade class. I had boys fighting girls and girls fighting, and their friends, their first grade friends that sat at the table would jump in on the fight. I was breaking up fights all day long. So I was horrified because I'm like, where did these kids get this behavior from? This behavior came from home. They had the witnesses at home with their parents fighting, physically fighting. So in their mind, if somebody offend them, it's the fight. The boy slapped the girl started fighting, their friends jumped in. But this is what's witnessed at home. So these first graders now, most likely this is how they start interpreting what a relationship look like, how a man and a woman, how they would relate to one another. It's not verbal communication, but it's physical communication. So back to the microsystem, the home, where we establish our first beliefs and our thoughts about life and how we relate to one another. So let's move on. How do we choose our partner or our mate? You choose him because of what you perceived as a healthy, normal relation based on your experience, based on how you saw your mother and your father interact, based on how you saw your aunts interact with your uncles, your grandmother with your grandfather. These are all the layers that set the foundation of what we perceive to be a healthy relation. Many of you, not everybody came from a shabby or unstable home, but many of you saw your father come in, kiss your mother. You see physical affection. I love you. I love when I hear my friends, they talk about when their father disciplined them. They would say, you're not going to disrespect my wife. You understand? So with that, you see what it is, what a healthy relationship looks like. You see the father come in, wash the dishes, sit down with the family, communicate with the family, and with that communication, we know that establishes the child with a more advanced vocabulary, just sitting down and eating dinner. And that's where we understand a deeper depth of our religious beliefs and our political thoughts, and our view about the world is at the dinner table. After dinner, you sit down and you watch an appropriate family movie. The kids off to bed, mommy and daddy talking, pillow talk, and then they retire into their room or they go to sleep. Then some of us, we come from unstable homes. My home that I grew up in, I'll use me for an example, is that I had a father that his profession was a truck driver. And in my mind, I heard my mother say that my father, he did long distance truck driving. But later on in my adult years, or when I was a teenager, I understood that my father only did that for 1 month and he didn't like it. So in my mind, as a child, I was under the belief that my father, he wasn't at home because he was a long distance truck driver and he wasn't home for days at a time. But now we see what the real story was that my father, he was with his other family. Okay, so what I saw my mother do was just work and church, 2 jobs to take up the slack for my father. So if anything I did learn was how to hold down a second or third job, but I didn't have the ability, or I didn't witness what a healthy relationship looked like, how a husband and a wife interact, how they did their finances, how they ran their home. But it is what it is. So okay, yes, I must admit I had 2 failed marriages. Okay, so do you see how we establish our thoughts and our beliefs about what a relationship should look like? So I went out there and I picked people. They were great men. I'm not bashing my ex-husbands, but it was something that I didn't witness. Not necessarily saying that they weren't good husbands, but was I a good wife? So let's move on. I want to tell you about an article that I read when I was doing when I was working on my doctorate. It was an article by a woman called, her name is Dr. Shawnee Harris Peterson. She was at that time a professor at Spelman University, Spelman College. I think now she's at Emory, but I know when I started reading her articles, she was at Spelman College. And what fascinated me about her was that all her research were psychosocial based for the African American community. And one of the articles that she wrote, it was the importance of fathers contextualizing sexual risk taking in, oh, I'm sorry, let me do it again. The importance of fathers contextualizing sexual risk taking in low risk African American adolescents girls. So, in this particular research that she did, it revealed that a father's education was the most powerful predictor of sexual risk, with self-esteem emerging as a significant yet less powerful predictor. So what it's saying is the father's educational attainment affects his adolescence, his African American daughter adolescence timing of when she would start having sex, or what risk or non-risk, high risk or low risk. So I remember after I read this article and I used some of the information, I quoted some of the information inside of a paper that I had to write. My white classmates would say, well, what does that have to do, with their education? Automatically, I could see the conversation between an educated man saying to his daughter, you know what, honey, when I was coming home and I was reading in Psychology Today or in the Times magazine an article that said HPV is on the rise in students in middle school. And you understand? So with that, because he's a reader, because he's more educated, because he's more in touch with what's going on inside of the world, he's versed with it, he could communicate that with his daughter and bring more of an awareness. Whereas and this might be controversial to some of you, a father with less education might say, just keep your legs closed, don't be messing with these boys out here. You're not giving them reasons or information of why, because the rise in STD, HIV, pregnancy, teenage pregnancy, all these various reasons that come with higher risk, sexual risk taking. You understand what I'm saying? So also inside of the article, three thematic categories emerged. And it was that through the communication, the sex education talk between the father and daughter, it was direct, it was insightful, and it continued to develop a positive father-daughter relationship. Whereas an absent or an avoidant communication between a father and a daughter was linked to rejection, regret, and more risky sexual behaviors. So when mothers bash daddies on Father's Days, we have to look and see where is the foundation of this. And the foundation of it, we going back to it, is the experiences that we have, that we've witnessed, that we've seen inside of our homes, from growing up, from amongst our family members. Because remember that the microsystem contains the child, along with the family, along with peers, school, and religious beliefs, or the religious institution. So we didn't pick our fathers. Our children didn't pick their fathers. It was us. It was us as mothers that picked them. So we have to be careful when we start that bashing, because the bashing only separates us from our father. The bashing only adds another generation of not knowing how to pick and look and see what a healthy relationship is. I also wanted to give some pointers. and some information. Child support and visitation is two different things. It's two different things. Too many times we associate, well, he don't give child support, so guess what? He ain't gonna see him. Or he got a new girlfriend, so he ain't gonna see him. Your relationship and your relationship with your child is two different relationships with their father. That was your ex-husband, that was your baby daddy, but that's that child's father. So I like how Michelle Obama says, even when they go low, you go high. Help that child develop a healthy relationship. Help as much as you can possibly do to sustain a healthy relationship with the child, with their father. Many of you have kids that their father may live in a different state. With technology today, that father could still be linked with the school system, whereas he could see online, or he could get texts when grades are put in. He could see when the child is in school, when the child is absent, the grades that his child is making. There's a lot of communication through technology that he could still be aware of. And when you allow him to be aware of those things, parent teachers conference, when you come home, if he's in another state, you just call him, or have the child call and say, Dad, the teacher said that I'm doing well in this area and I may need to improve in this area. Would you read to me? Technology, you could FaceTime. If not FaceTime, it's WhatsApp, it's Skype, it's so many things that you could help as a parent. If he's trying to go low, you keep it high for the sake of the child. So I just want to encourage you today, and just some thoughts that I was going through. Again, happy Father's Day to all of my male viewers. And the main reason why I wanted to do this video, because we see so many mothers that say, happy Father's Day to me. You're not a daddy. I want you to be the best mommy that you could possibly be. Be the best mommy. Happy Father's Day, and thank you for listening. Bye-bye.